Hey everyone, thanks for downloading our podcast this week. It was my first one back after being away in New Zealand for a while, and so it was a smasher. I was a tiny bit jet lagged and more distracted by mouth pains, which we cover in quite deep.
Bearing in mind your mouth ulcers, though, I thought you were very stoic and a real trooper.
Thanks, man.
Other than when you applied clove oil.
Oh yeah, that's
sort of during a link and went.
I think the adrenaline from the pain gives me a headache. It hurts that much.
Oh,
yeah. So I'm a bit
well, I mean,
actually,
we asked for your cures and treatments live, but if you have one, do get in contact with the show because John is really struggling. But he doesn't go on about it. He doesn't whinge. He's not one of those people who says he's got man flu. He just gets on with the job in hand. You're like, that famous picture of England centre-back Terry Butcher in a World Cup qualifier, and he's covered in blood, and he carried on playing, heading the ball a lot as well. I mean, you're the broadcasting equivalent, I think.
Thanks, man.
But there's a Winner Plays On. Blur take on Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Robbins gets a bit upset because my questions were too deep for him.
Well, I think for a first outing into Potter territory, they were rather... I mean, there were two questions I could not possibly have got.
Like what? Which ones?
Well, we'll let the listeners decide.
Right. Okay, fair enough. We discuss Led Zeppelin as part of Sacred Cow, and we have a fantastic problem for textual healing. So, plenty to look forward to. And
do share the podcast with your loved ones, because we always like to have as many people as possible listening. So do tweet it or put it on Facebook or something. That'd be nice, because if we do it too much, we sound boring. But thanks very much, and hope you enjoy the show. Bye-bye.
Thank you, goodbye.
XFM. Ellis James and John Robbins on XFM podcast.
Amazingly, it's not 1985, it's 2014, and that was If I Could Change Your Mind by Ham. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to XFM, and thank goodness it's back to normal. It's Ellis James and John Robbins here. I'm John Robbins, and to my left is David Powis's last confirmed case of smallpox, Ellis James.
Hello.
How are you doing, man?
Very good. David Powis, which is the largest geographically police force in the UK.
Lovely stuff. Good
so stay tuned for more of those belters.
Lewisham has the biggest police station in Europe.
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh.
And a guy about a month ago, tried to rob the Barclays outside. to drive his car into the Barclays.
There's a police station in Canton in Cardiff. And there's a fantastic sign on the door that just says, "Please close the door after you," as if like all the crims are going to sort of go on the run. And
so it's back to basics. The dream team. Last week, my replacement was an hour late.
Yeah,
which is not great. It must have been, for the listeners tuning in last week, it must have been like listening to Eurythmics, but without Annie Lennox. It's just that Dave guy on the keyboards.
Yeah, he's running the desk. She was an hour late. She was very, very apologetic. I mean, the hour and 58 minutes she was on air, she was great.
Lovely stuff.
But she didn't have Robbins' punctuality. What time did you get into the office this morning?
I got in at 9 a.m. I got in before Dave. I got in before anyone. Just me and the security guard running riot. Like in Capture in the Rye.
What did you have to chat to him about?
I just signed in.
Oh, right. What, and then you
came upstairs.
Just stared at him in silence.
And ate my croissant.
Oh, what a beautiful image. I arrived, not Roisin Connaughty late, just Ellis James late, because I'd been let down by public transport.
I drove in today for the first time in the Fabia.
Oh.
Loved it.
Is the Fabia the car you had that had mould on the seats?
No, that was the Lanos. That was embarrassing. When I was the first time I ever had people in the back seat, it was my nieces and my sister giving them a lift, and they got in the back, and I removed some of the coffee cups and crisp packets to find quite a large amount of mould on the in the footwells, which I think had been responsible for 2 chest infections. So lots happened. We got so much to catch up on. We got so much fun stuff to happen. I'm still slightly jet lagged, but more worryingly, debilitated by a crop of mouth ulcers.
Oh.
They're still there. I showed them to Elis earlier in the week, but they are getting angrier. And I feel like a child complaining about it because grown-ups don't get mouth ulcers. But every 45 minutes I have to apply clove oil and we'll go,
And then it feels nice. Then it feels nice.
No, it just feels normal. But it's like applying acid. I just don't know what to do.
I always thought it was. I mean, I'm no GP. I'm a DJ on XFM, but I always thought it was a vitamin C deficiency. Ulcers.
I don't know. There's mixed reports online. It could be run down. It could be iron. It could be. I could have celiac. I could be celiac. I could have Crohn's disease.
Oh, that's interesting.
But it's one of those things where they could probably come up with a cure, but they would they would lose so much money on just you applying pointless ointments. You have to keep rebuying. It's BS. It's BS. That's what it is. It's the man rinsing our sweet coin.
If there are any doctors listening who aren't kowtowing to the man, and know what the cure to
the pen pushers at Anbesol and Bonjela.
they know what the cure to mouth ulcers is. Bearing in mind that John Robbins earns his living through his mouth.
Exactly. Not in a through speech. Not through anything more tawdry.
Then please text us on 3936 or tweet us at XFM because he's really struggling here.
I am. I've got my clove bud oil here. Yeah. And I will be having to apply it a minimum of 3 times during the show.
Oh, well, hopefully we'll do that live and not during a track. Anyway, we've got lots of great music coming up for you from the Black Keys and the Doves. But
I'm introducing this one.
Oh, yeah? All right. Okay.
Coming up, we have, considering their history, a very inappropriately titled song from the Manic Street Preachers. It's Walk Me to the Bridge.
Elis James and John Robbins podcast. XFM.
Oh, Walk Me to the Bridge by Manic Street Preachers, a new track from them. I find that very exciting because I love the Manics and I'm very patriotic, and Gareth Bale scored in the European Cup final. Isn't Wales great?
I won't. I was going to say something mean about it. Yeah, it's great. It's inappropriately upbeat.
Oh, all right. I'll give you that. Oh, odd meeting. You know, I'm going to write a song about,
But is it about that?
I don't know.
Because if not, it's a clanger. If it is, I'm not sure it's the right tone.
Okay, well, they're on Twitter. You can tweet them at Manix if you.
No, God, goodness.
If you've got any reservations. Thankfully, we've already had texts and tweets in on your behalf, mate, about ulcers.
Oh, cool. What do they say?
Little Jason says mouth ulcers are basically scurvy for the modern man.
I'm not sure that's true.
Well, at least it's nice to have a bit of sympathy. Try avoiding chives.
I'm not addicted to chives.
Don't knock Anbusol or Bonjela. Good tunes this morning, folks. Do you eat many chives?
Well, who eats many chives? They're probably
Pringle fans.
I would say they're part of 2 meals a month, and not intentionally. I've never knowingly bought chives.
Oh, well, I think this person's text has gone down a blind alley. Then I thought I had it for you. Then I couldn't wait to tell you.
What as if I'm going to go? Oh, well, I do eat chives.
My
2
chive
times
addiction.
a day. Just put away my pot of chives. Carry around with me.
First thing. Oh,
God, I'm going to have to start taking up flat leaf parsley.
Oh dear. Well, hopefully, I mean, it's unresolved currently. So,
but do keep your cures coming in. I went on a website which is like the Mouth Ulcer Sufferers Alliance, who've decided to take their own action, and they've got every treatment anyone's ever tried, and you can vote for whether they help or not. And the one that helps healing the most by a remarkable margin is an Indian starter called Pani Puri, which are like Indian street food snacks.
Right.
84% of people on the Mouth Ulcer Sufferers Alliance said they are the best thing, which seems wrong, because then it goes down to 54%, which is like Bonjela. But you just think, well, this must be a marketing thing by an Indian restaurant.
Exactly. You don't think it's some sort of... God, it's a conspiracy by the Taj Mahal restaurant, Carmarthen, or wherever it is.
So I then went out for a curry on my own, which is bleak, and the curry made it worse because they didn't have that thing, so I just had a prawn Madras.
Oh, a Madras with ulcers? Are you insane?
Yeah, I love it though.
Oh, I know you love it. I've seen it happen, but come on, mate. You were on your own. You didn't even have to impress me.
I was on my own in a full restaurant.
Oh, yeah. Reading the paper?
No, just
staring.
I was tweeting. I was WhatsApping my friend Robin about how bleak my curry was.
Oh.
And then took a photo of just my table and then the rest of the restaurant.
I should point out to listeners, John is actually more fun in person than he sounds. He's actually a really great guy.
I went to a pub on my own and drank a pint of bitter, but the pub was full of a lady's 90th birthday party, so I sat outside and then went. But often I think it's the walk to a pub is the best bit, walking through threshing trees and blossom, and then you turn the corner and you see the pub sign, and then the heart's going, and then you get there and it's Betty's 90th, and you think, all right.
FM. Elis James and John Robbins podcast.
There Goes the Fear by Doves. I first heard that song on the way to a Gamblers Anonymous meeting in Oxford. Great times.
Oh.
Really loved it as well. Really put a bit of spring in my step, despite the circumstances.
Oh. I used to... What was that thing you used to love? Was it online golf?
Don't talk to me about that.
Okay.
I spent more money on online golf than most people would spend on, like, a brand new Xbox and 3 games. Like buying my character T-shirts, which gave him +1 distance. Buying him a cap, which gave him +1 skill. Oh, we used to play with this. Oh, God, I can't even go there.
You need to...
It was so good.
You need to write a stand-up show for the Edinburgh Festival that's called The Darkness of Robbins. And
but that's not dark, it's just depressing.
The first 5 minutes is your online golf addiction.
And my girlfriend at the time wrote me a note, left it on my desk and said, "Remember when you're playing online golf and drinking rum till 3 in the morning, that I love you very much." I didn't heed that hint. And the relationship went downhill soon after.
Oh.
Anyway.
On Thursday night, I was the victim of a crime. I'll picture. I want you to picture the scene. John Robbins and I, we were celebrating John's girlfriend's birthday. We were in a pub. Banter was flowing. I was on particularly good form. Oh, yes.
You were also...
I was on great form.
You were a few sheets to the wind.
Yes, I was. A few sheets to the wind. I was half cut. But great form. I mean, at one stage I was telling one of my belting anecdotes. Robbins looked at me and it was just a sort of a mix of admiration and love. And it was he's now going to claim that wasn't true.
You claimed I said the funniest thing to you that I'd ever said in 5 years. You put a timescale on it. Classic James.
What was that?
You said, "That's the funniest thing you've said to me, John, in 5 years."
I know that, but what was the thing?
The thing you texted Sian about. Your friend Sian.
I don't even remember it anymore.
Well, check your phone. No, it's not rude, but I'm not sure whether we can...
Oh, okay. All right, then. Well, that was particularly great radio. John said... 4 days ago, John said something very funny that I'm not going to tell you. Oh, my goodness me. But anyway, John was funny. John was being funny. Now, unfortunately, right, John, he's read a lot of Sherlock Holmes in his time. He's a very observational bloke. I am less so. Right now...
I've also watched about 2,000 man-hours of Traffic Cops.
Yeah, okay. He's almost the perfect detective in waiting, right? If radio doesn't work out for John, he should go and work for the Met. But anyway... it's about 11:30 at night, and suddenly the pub is bedlam, and Robbins goes, "I think somebody's had their Adidas bag nicked." Now, this is my train of thought. I remember thinking to myself, who has an Adidas bag? And I thought, John doesn't know anything about bags. He might mistake an Adidas bag, a Fred Perry bag, for an Adidas bag. Oh, I've got a Fred Perry bag. My Fred Perry bag has been stolen! Now, what the thief had done, there was a gang of them operating in central London. John, you actually saw it happen. He dragged the bag away from my chair, kicked it towards the door.
Well, I basically turned around to see a guy toying with a bag with his foot, like a sort of a cat toying with a dead mouse. I thought that's a weird thing to do to your bag. And then he picked it up and put it on. I thought, who scuffs their bag along the floor and then puts it on? But my immediate thought was he's nicking it, but then I thought, I don't want to be rude. What if he's not? What if it's his bag? And then he walked out with his mate, and I thought, they've nicked a bag. So I sort of very quickly tried to get everyone. There was about 8 people. I went, has anyone got an Madras bag because our thing's been stolen? And obviously, by the time I'd taken in and they'd taken in, he'd had 15 seconds head start.
Yeah, now I noticed it was my bag, right, and the two of us gave chase. Now, I'd had approx 7 pints of Doom Bar, and you cannot catch a thief when you've had 7 pints of Doom Bar. It's only 4%, but the sheer volume. But because of adrenaline, the fact that I'd had my bag stolen, the first, I would say, 400 metres, I felt good. I felt like Usain Bolt. I thought to myself, I'm going to catch this guy. And he had to stop to cross the road, so we made up a bit of time on him.
Well, they split up, didn't they? There was 2 of them, and I took one, Elis, and comedian Joe Lycett took the other one.
Yeah.
I mean, it was quite a high-profile pursuit.
Yeah.
I mean, there were 3 pretty sturdy comics.
Three XFM regulars.
Yeah.
Joe's been on primetime telly on Saturday nights.
Yes.
He's quite camp. What he would have done if we'd caught the thief, I really would love to know, actually.
Oh, do give him your bag back. It's outrageous behaviour. I say.
But anyway, now, as I'm running, I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to do if I catch up with him, right? Now, my plan was I was going to rugby tackle him using some of the lessons I learnt at a comprehensive school in Wales in the 90s, grab the bag and then leg it. I didn't want to fight him or beat him up. I just wanted my bag back because there were some there were a couple of stand-up comedy notebooks. There was some real gold in there. I feel sorry for the British comedy going public. But anyway, he clearly hadn't drunk 7 pints of Doom Bar. He also had probably a 30-second head start and was nippy. Like, he turned the afterburners on down Regent Street. Like, down Argyle Street and Little Argyle Street, I thought, this is on. I'm going to catch this guy. And then as soon as he was on the sort of the open road and there were no people about, that he was pacey. I mean, he's wasted a decent career in athletics to become a bag thief.
The one I chased got hit by a bus, but it just clipped him and sort of sent him into a spin. He didn't fall over, but an iPhone fell out of his pocket.
That was handed into the police.
Yeah.
They handed it into the copper I was giving my statement.
And someone else in the pub had also had their bag nicked, so would they taken one each?
Yes. What I will say, though, is that, John, when we were running alongside each other after the thief had my bag, I felt a tremendous sense of camaraderie with you, John.
Yeah, I just was so angry at myself for watching a man steal a bag and not doing anything when I'm, in all intents and purposes, a community support officer anyway. I'm a man pretending to be a man pretending to be a police officer. And in my head, I'm constantly vigilant. It was so annoying. But anyway, what we want to hear from you guys is have you ever solved a crime? Have you ever been a have-a-go hero? Have you ever sort of interrupted something like that happening? Have you ever chased someone? Have you ever caught them? We want to hear about your stories of bravery and crime prevention.
And if you have seen a blue Fred Perry bag with white trim dumped anywhere with my passport in it, please contact XFM.
Or 2 notebooks detailing 3 years' worth of swimming pool anecdotes.
Right, that's a slam, because I've had 2 swimming pool anecdotes in previous Edinburgh shows, which John never lets me forget.
Also, if you see 2 sort of swarthy-looking Brazilian stroke Spanish men suddenly turning up at comedy gigs with a serviceable Club 20 after not an appropriate amount of experience, then do let us know.
A little dig this, serviceable. I would say commendable.
Elis James and John Robbins podcast on XFM.
So now you know by the horrors doing that track, Robbins and Dave, the producer, and Vin, we were just chatting about crime. About the terrible subhuman people who commit crime. If you've been the victim of a crime, if you stood up to a criminal, text us or tweet us. We've had lots of tweets already. My favourite one, though, was from Griff. My bag was stolen whilst watching WWE SmackDown at the O2. I bravely contacted my insurance company, who replaced the lot. So, I mean...
And then probably put your premium up to more than the bag was worth.
Oh.
Don't get me started on my car insurance company.
No, do not get Robin started on insurance, because he thinks it's all a massive swizz.
Well, which is exactly what I said to I won't name the company, but to the representative. I said, I've been nothing but honest. I've reported 2 incidents that weren't my fault, and you've taken away my no claims protection and increased my premium to more than the 2 claims are worth. What am I meant to do?
You strike me as the type of person who says, why do I feel like a criminal for reporting a crime?
Yeah, well, exactly.
Yeah, I know, it's just quite uncool.
Oh, we've got one here. I stopped a group of kids vandalising cars in my street. I felt my teacher voice would deter them. Could have gone horribly wrong. I was once, when I was living in Bristol, out on a mini balcony, smoking a fag, and saw a guy with a girl walking home, and he was obviously just, you know, when you get drunk and a bit excited, and he was just jumping on car bonnets.
Yeah.
And I went, "Oi, mate, stop it!" And he looked absolutely mortified, and immediately realised how ridiculous his behaviour was.
Is that the voice you put on?
Yeah, slightly Cockney.
Yeah.
"Oi, mate, stop it!"
That's exactly the voice. Hey!
Yeah.
What do you think you're doing?
Yeah.
Hey! God, that's a scary. I didn't realise I was capable of that. Next time producer Dave has a go at me for, boring links on radio, that's the voice I'm going to use during the track. Don't you ever tell me how to broadcast again, Dave, all right? Don't you ever tell me how to broadcast.
This is remarkably like Rob Brydon on The Trip doing his Michael Caine impression. Well, his voice goes very low, like that. Oh, Batman.
Oh, dear.
We are basically a lesser paid version of Steve Coogan and Rob Brydon.
Don't talk about our fee live on air.
FM. Elis James and John Robbins on XFM podcast.
Feel by Bombay Bicycle Club. I'm sure plenty of you will have enjoyed that, but not the perfect track for one of our listeners. We just got producer Dave just got a superb text from his dad. Quite simple, kept it brief. New favourite band, The Horrors. I love the idea of your dad listening to The Horrors, especially as he's Stockport's premier, what is he, timber merchant?
Timber merchant.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
He's responsible for half of the deforestation in the Scottish Islands.
Oh, John.
He's a pine addict.
They always replant, though. They're very responsible.
Yeah, they do, that's true.
Yeah, so having a go at Dave's dad. He's a nice bloke. He's in his house in Cheshire listening to The Horrors.
When I'm able to afford a house in 2052, I will be on the phone to him for a fence. By then, he may have retired.
By then, there'll be some modern, futuristic alternative to fencing. You'll have like a sort of a hologram fence or something.
Yeah, but it'll be electrified.
Yeah.
To stop the mutants getting in. Sorry. We've been talking about times you have interrupted a crime or solved a mystery, rugby tackled a ne'er-do-well. We've had some great messages in. Here we go. Me and my friend once chased a shoplifter down the street and tackled him, only to break his wrist and almost get charged for ABH. From Ryan. That is... What is it? Gone wrong. That's something gone wrong.
Britain's broken. We're going to hell in a handcart.
Yeah.
That is the type of thing that Nigel Farage would say in Question Time.
Oh, yeah. And then do quite well.
Yeah. But Ryan the trucker, I'm on your side because I could have been that man.
I had fantasy. I couldn't stop thinking about it for the night afterwards. And it's an extremely mild form of post-traumatic stress disorder because you've had an emergency. Your brain's taken in so much information that you keep replaying it in your head. I couldn't sleep. I kept imagining headbutting him. I don't know why. I did not know how to do that.
I got to sleep because I was, as we've discussed, I was a bit drunk. But the next day I could not stop thinking about it, and I imagined catching up with him because I'm a fitter person, rugby tackling and beating him up, and unrealistically in every single one of these fantasies I beat him up successfully and never had my head kicked in because he was much harder than me.
We've had a tweet in saying this is a boring accounts crime. I beg to differ, this is not a boring crime, but I detected that the predecessor in my job had stolen £136,000. Amazing.
Whoa. I tell you one thing, We've had so many texts and tweets on this. I think XFM demographically must have the bravest listeners. We must have in radio. So many of our...
They're just stoked. They're listening to the Foals, and they're just running down the street chasing criminals.
Yeah. Well done, XFM.
I made my neighbour's toddler cry after yelling at him for weeing in someone's recycling bin. Great. Excellent.
Great stuff.
Right. If you were to catch up with that robber and give him what for, he may end up with a fat lip by some 41.
XFM. Elis James and John Robbins on XFM podcast.
You're listening to XFM with Elis James and John Robbins, and it's time for one of our favourite features, Sacred Cow.
XFM's Sacred Cow. Sacred Cow. Sacred Cow.
Oh, that's a new one. I've not heard that bit before. Brilliant. I didn't know the breathy voice of a woman had it in her.
It's... Every week. Sorry, that was like those cricket commentators when he said he didn't get his leg over and then they gave him for about 5 minutes. Every week on this show, John and I discuss those bands, the heralded bands that are always on the front cover of music magazines, the bands that all the respected rock journalists say that if you don't own all of their records, you're not a proper music fan, you don't know what you're talking about. However, I think, like all music fans, John agrees obviously that some of them just aren't very good and that they're on these covers undeservingly, and that's what we're going to debate. So this week it's John's turn to nominate his Sacred Cow. John, over to you.
This week I am nominating preemptive Queen rip-offs, Led Zeppelin. There they are with their song that they've... how many times do they record that song? About 1 million times?
Yeah, probably, and it's perfect.
Yeah, I'm just saying they've got one song.
What are you on about, you absolute idiot? Sorry, I just listened to the solo then. And
yeah, me too.
I was on radio.
Now, here's the thing with LZ, as they're called.
I think you're talking about me.
No. They're not. I'm not saying they're bad bands. I'm not saying they don't make excellent music. I'm just saying they didn't invent hard music. That's not a thing, and there are quite a lot of valid criticisms you could have. So, his voice is very, very annoying.
It's a punk rock argument.
It's screechy, and they cannot do soft songs. On the Holmes album, where they've got all those acoustic tracks, it just doesn't work. It's really irritating. John Paul Jones is not high enough in the mix, so there's essentially no bass involved. It doesn't play a significant enough part in the music. And they're idiots. And they never grew out of all that kind of fairies and goblins and Middle-earth stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it took them too long to stop singing about Gandalf.
But that's because he was living in Machynlleth, which is a very, very mystical place.
Well, I've been to the house. What's it called?
Bron-yr-Aur.
I've been to Bron-yr-Aur, and I wrote in their guest book that I wish Brian May had lived there. Apparently, when they moved into that house, there was a whole wall covered in like notes that just got, like, the wallpaper got stripped off by the people who came in because they didn't know Led Zeppelin had written an album there.
Oh my!
So there were all these like lyrics and stuff on this wall.
Oh,
they just painted over it.
Dear, oh dear, oh dear. I bet the people at Zoopla were livid. Well, I think Led Zeppelin are fantastic. Those meaty riffs. Oh! And there's such chemistry between the band. They're all great musicians. Bonzo on the drums. John Paul Jones is great. Page. He could play acoustic. He can play electric.
He was quite sloppy live, though, wasn't he?
What are you on about, you Queen Egypt? You thin idiot. You went sloppy.
He was sloppy. It fitted the sound. I'm not saying it was inappropriate, but he wasn't.
Oh, just because you like Robot Man, Frank Zappa.
Oh, that's you take that back.
I'm not going to take that back.
Take that back.
You might have helped
He's
me.
not a robot man. He created sound sculptures.
Like a robot. But anyway, we'll do Frank Zappa another time.
No,
John.
We won't. We wouldn't be allowed to. He's too good. He's too cool.
I love it when you get angry. You should have seen him on Thursday night when I was having my bag stolen. He was angrier than I was, and I felt
livid.
I felt very pleased to be your friend. But anyway, I mean, all their albums, some different. They're all great, and also they didn't play the record industry game. They never released singles. They only ever performed live on telly once in France because they didn't like the sort of the French sound engineers and the mix that they got, and because they couldn't control it, they just said, right, we're never doing that again. They were this live
early forerunners of UKIP.
Yes. Yeah, they love UKIP, right? A lot of people don't know that, but it's true. But also, I just love the fact that nothing really sounded like Led Zeppelin before Led Zeppelin. Black Sabbath maybe, but they were the forerunners. I read this good thing about Led Zeppelin, that the Beatles were rock's childhood and Led Zeppelin's were its sort of puberty.
Sorry, I was looking at a rude word someone had tweeted in and missed that.
Oh my God.
Someone's tweeted in, and I don't know whether they're defending or attacking. They said, end this feature now, Led Zepp are two swear words, please excuse my French. They could be saying they're super great or they're really
well,
poor.
the amount of asterisks doesn't work for super great. In fact, I don't know what the amount of asterisks works for.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think it could be dog's balls. I'm allowed to say that, aren't I, Dave? That's what it is. Because you don't use an asterisk for an apostrophe, do you?
I don't know, but he's then using hashtag play the immigrant song, so I'm assuming that he's a big Led Zeppelin fan / legend.
Clearly not a UKIP fan.
Why are we discussing UKIP and Led Zeppelin?
The immigrant song, it's a funny joke.
I know that, but I mean, it's happened a lot in this link.
I just want to plant the idea that Daltrey and... Sorry, I've got confused. Page and Plant
Bonner
are sitting in their country estate saying, well, I think the man's got a point.
Yeah.
He's just saying the things that people don't say.
I think the man's got a point, and he's very good in question time. I mean, that's more Slade than Led Zeppelin. But anyway, I think that Led Zeppelin are great. John disagrees, but we need your input, so what? Do we put them into the abattoir or...
That was me trying to signal Elis without it being apparent. I was just looking at me and Dave pointing the wall going, what? Right. Remember to mention the abattoir and the paddock. Are
Led Zeppelin sacred cows? Do they go into the paddock of sacred cows or into the abattoir? That's what we're discussing. We need your input, so tweet us at XFM or text us on 83936 with your opinion.
Elis James and John Robbins podcast. XFM.
We're discussing the sacred cow. This week's sacred cow, Led Zeppelin. I think they're fantastic. Robbins disagrees. Ulcer-suffering John Robbins.
It's not that I haven't been cursed because of my views on Led Zeppelin. So we got a text here from Joe. He says, into the abattoir with them for their pompous posturing. They are an overrated... Oh, I can't read that. But they... I'd say a lot of bad language today.
Yeah, whether you hate or love Led Zeppelin, you're all swearing. Guys, we can't read out your texts and tweets if you... That is one of the worst words I've ever seen in my life.
Phil texts in, how can you slag off Led Zeppelin, you expletive? Their influences are present on rock bands to this day. Bear in mind what else sounded like them in the early 70s. Well, Queen.
You, sir, are an expletive.
Yeah. My name is Joseph, and I think Led Zepp are the best band ever. I've got a poster of them on my wall. Please, can you play Communication Breakdown?
Well, mate... If I had my way, we'd play nothing but Communication Breakdown, because they're amazing.
I like this. Led Zeppelin is king. Play Ramble On, because reasons.
Is that like internet speak? Is that something...
Oh, is that a thing?
I don't know. I never know stuff like
I
this.
don't like feeling old. Is that... Please let that not be a thing. Oh, Lee has tweeted in to say Led Zeppelin are only famous for doing the Top of the Pops theme tune. Utter bilge. Dennis Waterman wrote the theme tune to Minder, which was much better. I think that is the best tweet we've ever had.
Yes. I also, even though I disagree, I think that's the best tweet we've ever had. Although, if you listen to the theme tune to Minder once, you have to listen to it 15 times.
Yeah.
It must be the catchiest theme tune of all time.
FM. Elis James and John Robbins podcast.
Okay, it's time to settle up. It's been a hot debate. We've had loads of texts and tweets. Led Zeppelin as a sacred cow.
XFM's Sacred Cow. Sacred Cow. Sacred Cow.
I'm gonna give you my love.
It just gets me in the guts, Led Zeppelin. It makes me feel moved and sexy.
Oh, God, I want to see that.
Snake
That's
hits.
why they've got to go in the abattoir. I can see Elis being sexy everywhere.
Well, doesn't it make you feel sexy?
No, Rolling Stones make me feel sexy.
Okay. That and Martin Lewis's money-saving podcast.
Yeah, well, no, not mine. No, his monthly email, his weekly email, and or Money Box, which is the monthly money.
Right, okay.
Radio 4 podcast. If you like that, you'll also like our podcast. So do download it from iTunes for extra money-saving tips. But seriously, do download it. So, Dave, have you totted up the fors and againsts here?
Yes.
I mean, I can really, just from a sort of a cursory look, only see this going one way.
It's been tricky this morning to navigate ourselves through the amount of swearing that we've been receiving, so a lot of the points are quite hard to get to the bottom of.
Does it count, do their views count if they're potty-mouthed?
I think they have to on this occasion, because 90% of them are. So, it was a bit of a landslide this morning, though, in that...
That sounds like the sort of song they'd do.
Yeah. In that a lot of our listeners do seem to like Led Zeppelin, so they are paddock bound this morning. Of course.
Elis is now getting very sexy indeed. He's revealing, I'd say, an inch of lower stomach because his arms are in the air. He's wearing a polo t-shirt done up to his neck in that sexy way that maybe a Victorian governess would do. And he's now dancing in quite a disturbing manner. So can we get... Oh, good grief. Can we get them into the panic to stop Elis touching his torso in such a way?
Sexy.
So, Vin, have you prepare the cow?
Quick, Vin.
Quick. Get them in. I mean, I can't say I'm not absolutely gutted. They are joining Lennon, The Doors, The Who. I'm sure they'll get on like a house on fire. And to celebrate that, we're going to play a song which I think is rhythmically quite exceptional. It's Black Dog by Led Zeppelin.
Hey, mama said the way you move gonna make you sweat, gonna make you groove.
Elis James and John Robbins podcast on XFM.
We have asked you for your problems for textual healing, which me and Elis are going to solve. And on line 5, we have a caller who wants to remain anonymous. So we're going to speak to him now. Hello?
Hello.
Hello there, anonymous man. Hang on. Before... Sorry, people are pointing at me. We need a sign language system here. Anonymous man, we are now going to play our textual healing bed to introduce the feature. Is that cool with you?
Yes, that's great. That's whatever you need to do.
Okay, so let's hit it, D. Textual.
Textual.
Lovely stuff. There we go. So, sir, I'm going to call you sir. What's
That sounds right. That sounds about right.
what's the problem you've got today?
Well, it's a bit of an unusual one in that you know the expression "two's company, three's a crowd."
Yes.
Well, I'm on the receiving end of a crowd at the moment. In that I've been going out. I've been going out with a girl, Sally. Now we've been together 6 months, and it's going well.
Yeah.
For the last 3 months, there's a third party. I shouldn't have said her name, should I?
No, because she's now not anonymous.
Well, I'm going out with an anonymous girl,
Yeah.
Sally, and her dad is trying to muscle in on the relationship.
Whoa. In what sense?
Well, it started innocently enough. He befriended me on Facebook, and I thought, it's tricky when you see a request like that, because if you ignore it, they know you've seen it. If you ignore it, the next time you have dinner with them, there's going to be, they're going to mention it, aren't they? They're going to say, "What about the friend request? Why haven't you added me?"
I had I had once a friend's mum added me, and the thing is, she doesn't know my social media world. So what I did was I put her on limited profile, which is an option you can get so that they don't actually see a lot of the swearing or embarrassing photos you post.
Oh, I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah.
Well, that's all well and good, but it's not what I'm doing. It's what he's doing.
Right.
He started off by posting the trailer for the Amazing Spider-Man 2 on my Facebook wall with the comment, "How about it?"
Oh no. Oh.
He wants to go to the cinema, and I don't know if I haven't even asked if Sally's involved.
That's a really tricky one.
I don't feel like I could go to the cinema with a 50-something man.
So has he got many... Is he basically trying to make you his best friend?
He's got 4 friends on Facebook.
Oh, wow.
I'm the 4th. It's his wife and his daughter, and now me.
So does he... When you go round, what's he like? Is he kind of... is he sort of like a bit pally? Does he sort of say, "Oh, let's go for a round of golf"?
Well, I wish. At least that would be. At least we'd be out in the open. It's always, he's bought us matching fleeces.
No, yeah, I can't believe it.
Well, it wasn't. No, I didn't realise it wasn't like he brought out 2 fleeces and said, "Hey, wear these." My last birthday, he bought me a fleece. I thought, I'll show willing. The next time I went round, I was wearing the fleece.
Yeah.
He comes down the stairs. He's wearing a slightly larger version of the exact same fleece.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know where to look.
So I guess the problem is you obviously don't want to offend her dad and say, "Dude, why aren't you going round in your shed with Keith?"
Please don't say. That's what he calls me, dude.
Oh,
God.
dear. Does he? Is it? How well is it going with your girlfriend? Is it?
I think it's going pretty well.
So she could be the one, and he could be a permanent fixture in your life. Then it seems.
It's early days. Yeah, it's early days. But
What does she think about the situation? Can you sort of talk to her about it? Go, "God, your dad's been a bit chummy."
She says he's like this with all her friends, and it's just part of who he is. He's just a gregarious individual. But it's driving me up the wall.
So my advice would be, you plan a thing to do with him, but ensure that he, through no fault of your own, will have a horrid time. So maybe invite him to a bar that's too loud.
Yeah, Laser Quest.
Something that you think, and it might just make him think, "Oh, this young man's stuff, not for me." So is there anything he doesn't like or anything that you could do which would put him off?
If you're London-based, could you maybe take him to Ministry of Sound?
Yeah, I am in South London, so that's not impossible. I just don't think I'd have a very good time with it.
But you might have to take one for the team and do something he won't enjoy.
Well, here's my worry, is that we both go down to Ministry of Sound. He starts dancing. He really enjoys it. He gets a second lease of life, and suddenly every weekend now, I'm getting a photo on my Facebook wall with a picture of 2 ravers with glow sticks saying, "How about it?"
Elis, what do you recommend?
I think, to be honest, you could take him maybe for a frame of snooker and just be so boring that he doesn't want to hang out with you anymore. But I don't think that's going to work. I think he just enjoys the company. So I think you're going to have to push the panic button and take him to a thing he's not going to enjoy. It's going to have to be paintballing, Laser Quest, maybe Ministry of Sound. But it's going to have to be a big deal. Is there anything that he doesn't like that you can claim to really be into?
He's not a big reader, but then that's not a social thing, is it?
Let's go for a read.
Yeah.
I could take him to the local central library.
Yeah, just say, hey, Pete, I'm just popping down for a bit of a read. Do you want to come? Because so then, if he's turned you down a couple of times, you can then turn him down a couple of times.
You could maybe...
That's a good idea.
Ask him if he wants to go for coffee and foils. The bookshop.
It's great. I'll take him down Charing Cross Road.
Yeah,
There's tons of bookshops there.
say I'm going to do all the second-hand bookshops. I'm going to buy some overpriced erotic photography from one of those Soho sort of.
Some cash and coffee table books.
Yeah. You know exactly the ones.
And then I'm going to go to Ministry of Sound and have a read.
Yeah.
FM. Elis James and John Robbins on XFM podcast.
It's now time for our favourite feature. It's the Tenses feature, hence the tense music. It's time for Winner Plays On. If you haven't heard the feature before, basically, John and I, we ask each other questions on our chosen specialist subjects. The winner gets to play on and then play a favourite track of their choice. Over the last... Well, since the show began, to be honest, Robbins has been absolutely kicking my behind and is well ahead on aggregate. But the last time we played, I was the winner. Blur beat Alan Partridge. It's a defeat that Robbins didn't take very well. Whenever he loses, he gets a little bit down about it.
You went very deep on Partridge.
I did go deep on Partridge, but to be honest, he'd won sort of 3 weeks running. I needed to pull something out of the bag. I'm fairly confident.
So who's your topic for this week?
Blur.
And mine is Harry Potter, which depressed Ellis. I did it just to annoy him.
I just think that adults reading children's literature is creepy.
Oh, come on.
Grow up, mate. Grow up. But anyway, you've got carte blanche to choose whichever topic you like. So this week, Robbins has let the side down by choosing Harry Potter. I'm playing on with Blur.
What's your track? So the winner gets to play their favourite track. What's yours, Ellis?
The Universal by Blur, one of the greatest bands of all time.
Mine is Something Changed by Pulp, which is better than the Universal by Blur.
Okay, well, let's not get into that.
So, flick a coin. I've got the coin. Ellis, you call.
Tails for Wales, please.
Queens for Queen.
Gareth Bale.
And it is Tails for Wales.
Thank you very much.
So who's going first?
I'd like to go first, please.
Okay, so for Ellis James, in order to play the Universal by Blur, 5 questions on Blur, starting now. Magic Arrows, Sport and Soft Porn were all rejected titles for which album?
The Great Escape.
Incorrect. It was Parklife. What book by Martin Amis provided the inspiration
London
for Parklife?
Fields.
Correct, annoyingly. What was the name of Daben Albarn's first band?
Circus.
No, it's Two's a Crowd.
That was an electronic band, and I've even seen some of the press shots, but never mind.
Who painted the cover of the band 13?
Graham Coxon.
Correct. The Universal was originally written in what musical style?
I don't know, a ballad.
No, it was ska.
Shut up.
Yeah, true fact. So, just to double check with Dave, I think Ellis has got 2 out of 5.
Yes, that's correct.
2 out of 5. I'm quietly confident we'll be listening to Messrs. Doyle, Cocker, and the other 2. Senior.
Right, okay. Your questions on Harry Potter. 5 questions starting now. How many languages has Harry Potter been translated into?
Oh, fuck. 48.
73. When is the main narrative for Harry Potter set?
What?
When is it set? The books, when are they set?
Present day.
No, 1991 to 1998. How does Harry view the memories of other characters?
Through... Okay, I've got it. Through a... It's a dish Dumbledore keeps in his office. Pensive.
Yeah, it is pensive. What does Gilderoy Lockhart teach?
Well, rather unsuccessfully, Ellis. He teaches defence against the dark arts.
Right, yeah, correct. What is Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone in Welsh?
Oh, come on.
I bet you know what Queen is in Welsh.
No, I don't know what anything is in Welsh.
Brenhines.
Well, how would I know that?
I don't know, you lived in Bristol, it's just over the bridge.
I don't know what Harry Potter is in Welsh.
Oh, that's a shame, it's Harry Potter a Minor Athronydd.
Well, I'm not happy about that.
Okay, what's the score?
We both got 2.
You've really nobbled me in the past with some questions in Welsh.
You went super deep, early doors on Potter.
Well,
It's
you
2 all.
You love
We
Harry
both got 2.
Potter.
I do love Harry Potter. Anyway, let's not
Okay.
dwell on it.
tie break
Right.
in that case.
I'm not confident with this.
What's the question?
So I asked you both a question off air separately, so I already have your answers in front of me. The question this morning was... Use a different tension music here. The question was, in acres, how big is the Isle of Wight? That, of course, also includes inland water areas.
Whoa, I wasn't made aware of that. If it'd been in underwater, I'd have, not very different. I think I've gone too low on this.
I think I've gone way too high.
Okay, Elis came back with his answer very quickly, very confidently first, as John thought about it
I mean,
a
that
bit
doesn't
more
mean
carefully.
anything.
No. Elis went with 686,000 acres.
Wow.
I mean, I'm not a cartographer.
Sure. And it's not a unit of measurement that young people are in any way have any scale of reference for.
I'm quite chuffed that you regard me as a young person.
John went with 60,000 acres.
Okay.
For the size of Isle of Wight, including inland water areas. The answer is 93,341. John's closest by quite a way.
Quite a way.
Add.
Actually, just add, come on, Robbins, Boomaye, Robbins, Boomaye, Robbins, Boomaye.
XFM. Ellis James and John Robbins on XFM podcast.
Now, Elis, when a year ago I met my girlfriend, I gave her a list of 10 albums to listen to in order to get to the heart of Robbins. She just sent me a text. She's just downloaded the third of those albums. It's taken her a year.
Fast mover.
But last week, when we got back from New Zealand, we were very lucky to be able to see Neutral Milk Hotel live at the Roundhouse, playing, I think, maybe not the first time live in 20 years, but certainly in the first couple of times in 20 years. And we went to the gig, and the gig was absolutely exceptional for two reasons. Firstly, because they've clearly not played together that much in 2 decades, so they were quite nicely under-rehearsed. And Jeff Mangum a couple of times just lost where he was in the song, but it gave it very, very nice, loose feel. But mainly, secondly, because at the start they said, we don't want anyone to photograph or video anything, even if it's on your phone, just leave them away. So for about the first hour, I was just looking, because I was up in the seats, it was like looking onto a sea of people just watching a gig. And it was magical because it's the first time I've seen a gig not through the back of someone's iPhone.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely brilliant. And then about 10 people started taking photos. And on 2 occasions, I think this is brilliant, someone put their hand up in front of their camera, so it flashed on their hand and they didn't
vigilante.
get a picture. Yeah, vigilantes going, hey, we're not recording this gig, we're remembering it. I'm all for that. I reckon they should have some kind of blocker fit, because I don't want to watch Lou Reed through the back of someone's DSLR. Great text in. Went to see Morrissey at a much postponed Roundhouse gig and was actually shouted at by several middle-aged twits holding plastic pint glass in one hand and the camera phones in the other for getting in shot while they were filming. When I saw Nico Case at the Electric Underground, is it, in Shoreditch, cracking venue, she told someone off for filming and said, remembering is the new filming, which I thought was quite a cool little phrase.
I'd say it's remembering is the old filming.
No, it's the new... No, she was being ironic.
Oh, right.
But I think it's because... What's a good hashtag for stopping people filming?
Stop filming, you twits.
Yeah, stop filming you twits. Or put it away. But that could be misconstrued. Hashtag lose the phone or lose your memories, losers. We've got hashtag when in doubt, don't whip it out.
I quite like that.
Yeah.
But as a tweet, I mean, you've got probably maybe 110 characters to play with then if you can use that hashtag. Ideally,
what we want is when people say, oh, going to see the Flims tonight, hashtag don't record it. So one I like, which I might edit a bit, so Strix Mate has tweeted in saying hashtag don't just record, remember. I quite like hashtag don't record, remember.
Yes.
But that might be seen as an instruction to someone not to record a program called Remember.
Yeah, yeah.
Sounds like an American sort of drama series, doesn't it? Hashtag keep it in your pants pocket. Just don't know what that. Keep it in your pants pocket. Oh, if you're American and you call it pants. Hashtag keep it live. I like that.
Yeah.
Keep it live.
Sounds like those Keep Music Live stickers people have on their guitar cases. The
Yeah.
peeling stickers in the 90s.
We've also, someone has said they were at a Magic Numbers gig. This is Julie, and they invited us up on stage to sing and encouraged filming. I would say that's because they have not put enough work into either securing footage or rehearsing the songs. So actually, I think that's laziness. Could you guys get this? Because our cameraman didn't turn up. Also, do you know the 3 verses to this song? So that's my view. Maybe we can if we could get this trending in weeks to come, that'd be pretty cool.
I think this could make you. I think you could end up being Prime Minister if this takes off.
I'd love to be Prime Minister.
Yeah.
But I would have to be able to sleep until 10. I'm not sure they would let you do that if you're the Prime Minister.
Do you know why I wouldn't want to be Prime Minister? Because it looks like a really stressful job, and I don't think I'm cut out for it.
Yeah, that's probably true. You can never go, oh, I got a day off tomorrow, let's go and get to the pub.
No, you need to be pretty on it. You need to reply to your emails.
Unless you're Farage. That must be quite nice for him to be able to go, I might go to the pub tomorrow, do a bit of work. Because that's what he does, and he gets photos of himself with a pint.
Yeah, and people go, oh, he's one of us.
Yeah.
He's got cirrhosis of the liver.
Elis James and John Robbins podcast. XFM.
If you like the podcast, do tweet and tell your close loved ones about it, because it's nice to be able to have that there. And we will see you next week. Goodbye.
Thank you, goodbye.
If you like this podcast, why not check out some of the other great ones available to download at xfm.co.uk.
XFM.
Josh Widdicombe.
Welcome, Stephen Merchant.
Thank you for having me. Nice to be here, gentlemen.
Now, you, as a former XFM disc jockey, you gave me some advice on the first show. Me and Neil have obviously really built on that first show and attempted to implement the advice. Do you want to go through some of our subjects, Neil?
Some of the 5 subjects that went really well were bad song memories.
Bad song
I don't even know what that is anymore.
No, I don't know what that is.
I was away that week.
I think that's a typo. I think there was 2 subjects that week: bad songs and memories.
Memories. You just opened it up to memories. Got any memories? Phone it in. Let us know.
Music that rocks.